Hello folks, Scott with Dallas Paint Correction and Auto Detailing here in Dallas, Texas. I had a subscriber ask me a really cool question, and I thought it was worth, well, I think everybody's questions are worth considering, worth making a video about. I want to try to do that on a regular basis. But I had a subscriber ask me about the rubber seals around door jambs that are on the doors that could be on the actual panel of the doors as well. He asked me, and sometimes we can, how do I say this, we can oversimplify it, we can overthink the moment, but he asked me, Scott, do you clean these things? What do you clean them with? And do you put any type of dressing on them or any type of protectant? And I thought it was a great question. Sometimes after 20-something years of auto detailing, this is just automatic pilot for me. I just address these things. I want these rubber seals to pop. I want them to be clean. I want them dressed. When the customer opens up the door to look at the car after I've detailed it, I want these things to kind of stand out. This is an area where I like it to pop. Typically, I don't like plastic trim or leather interiors or anything like that. I don't want that stuff to really pop or shine or be overly glossy. I don't want this to be glossy either. I don't want to put anything on it that can stick to it, like dirt, dust, moisture in the future. But I do like them a little, I don't know, maybe it's a personal preference. I like when the customer opens up the door, everything's got a satin look to it, the paint looks amazing, and these little rubber seals pop. That's just my opinion, and that's how I've been doing it for so long. These rubber seals, there's a couple things that you want to do. Depending on how old the vehicle is, sometimes these rubber seals begin to get degraded. They start to fall apart. People get concerned, boy, what kind of cleaner can I use to clean them? Is an all-purpose cleaner appropriate for some of this rubber? Will it begin to break it down? What about isopropyl alcohol, mix 50-50 or 10-to-1, 8-to-1? Is that okay? Well, it's a great question, and it really depends on the actual condition of the rubber itself. Modern day cars today, these rubber seals have come a long way. They have much more integrity. They last longer than they ever did. But let's say this was an old vintage vehicle and the rubber trim has started to kind of begin to break down or get degraded, and I want to be careful what I clean it with. There's a couple of different options. Now, on this particular car, it's a Lexus. It's a 2016. The rubber trim's in great shape. So this particular car here, what I would do is I would just take a microfiber towel, something like this. It's clean. I may choose to use Meguiar's all-purpose cleaner, diluted 10-to-1, sprayed on that microfiber towel, and just clean off the dust and dirt. But let's say the rubber seal has become degraded. It's not so flexible, pliable anymore. It almost seems like it's hard, and I want to be careful what type of cleaner I use on it. I don't want to kind of promote any more degrading. I may use a product like this. This is made by Chemical Guys. It's nonsense, invisible super cleaner. It happens to be pH balanced according to them. Maybe not as harsh as an alkaline cleaner. I may use this on a rubber seal that has begun to break down. I'm a little concerned about a chemical or a cleaner that can really clean grease and grime hurting that rubber seal on an old vintage car. I may go with something gentle. So you kind of have to tweak the moment based on what type of rubber seal that you have on the car. Now, this particular car, again, it's a new car, 2016. The rubber seal's in relatively good shape. The rubbers today are in better shape, are made better than they ever were. So I'm just going to take some all-purpose cleaner, Meguiar's mix 10-to-1, and I'm going to spray it on my microfiber towel. And I'm simply going to come in and lightly mop up, just apply my cleaner onto that rubber seal, just get any dust and dirt that might be on it, get it off that rubber seal, and just be gentle with it. I don't want to be overly aggressive with it. I don't want to break it down. Again, this is a relatively new car. I'm not overly worried about it, but now I've got all the dust and dirt off it. Now, this particular rubber seal is very tight up against this plastic threshold. Sometimes there's a gap between the plastic threshold and the rubber seal, and you'll get a lot of dust and debris that gets caught in there. But this is a new car. That rubber seal is pretty tight up against that plastic threshold plate. But if it wasn't, I might use like a little mother's brush, a gentle little brush, to kind of scoop out some of the debris that might fall in between the plastic kick plate and the rubber seal. Get some of that stuff out, get it out first before I clean it. This particular car doesn't have that scenario, so I don't need to do it. Now, when I want to dress this stuff, I'm going to talk about a couple of different products. Professional products you can use on the rubber seal, even some over-the-counter products, depending on who you are, what you have available to you, based on your budget, your expectations. All of these dressings are going to be pretty, sufficient for keeping the integrity of the rubber intact. It also, for me, what I really like on these seals happens to be Meguiar's Hyper Dressing. It's a water-based dressing. I keep it diluted about 4-to-1 or 3-to-1. I'm just going to do a small area here, and then I'll just do some other products next to it so we can kind of have a comparison. But here's Meguiar's Hyper Dressing. I think the last time I diluted it was 3-to-1. I'll just spray it onto my microfiber towel and just do a small area. So I've got some on there, and I'll come in here and I'll wipe it on this rubber seal. I'll just do this corner here. Obviously, it's not a tremendous amount of pop and gloss, but it is a water-based dressing. What's nice about it is it will be a nice satin look to it, a nice clean look to it. Nothing's going to stick to it because a water-based dressing is going to dry completely to the touch. That's kind of important when you're talking about a door jamb. A lot of moisture, dust, and dirt get stuck in those door jambs. So we don't want to be using a dressing on these rubber seals that it won't attract. It's not like a magnet. It's not like it's not like calling dust and dirt, but because dust and dirt naturally gets in the door jamb, we just don't want to be using a product that's sticky like Armor All or a petroleum type of product to do that. Now, that's what I typically use on a professional level, is I'll use Hyper Dressing all the way around the seals after I clean it. I just really like the way that looks. It pops, it's water-based. Now, if you wanted to, I was talking about this earlier in another video that I made about Stoner Trim Shine. This happens to be item number 92034. This is water-based, completely appropriate for rubber seals around the door. Again, it's a lot like Hyper Dressing, although it's not dilutable. I'll spray a little bit on here, and then I'll come in and I'll do it next to the hyper dressing. I'll just cover up a little bit of the product there. It's very similar to Meguiar's Hyper Dressing, diluted 3-to-1 or 4-to-1. It's just going to make that seal look nice and clean, satin look, matte finish to it. It will be dry to the touch. That's great. That works wonderful. Very comparable to Hyper Dressing, yet you don't have to buy it by the gallon if you don't want to. Now, there's another product on a retail level. If you want a little bit more pop and shine, this happens to be Meguiar's Ultimate Protection or Protectant. This actually has some shine and gloss to it if you really want to bring that rubber seal to another level. And I'll try to move this camera a little bit and get this area of the rubber trim, and I'll apply this stuff to this area, and let's see what the contrast is between the Hyper Dressing and the Stoner Trim Shine. Let me get a fresh, clean area on my microfiber so I'm not cross-contaminating the product. I'll get a little bit on there, and then I'll wipe it onto the seal. When I put this on here, now, I don't think the camera's picking it up. It will restore a little bit more pop and shine. It will give you a little bit more gloss than the areas with the Stoner Trim Shine or the Hyper Dressing. What I do like about Meguiar's Ultimate Protectant for inside door jambs on rubber seals, it'll really make these rubber seals pop a little bit more. It will have a little bit more shine and gloss, but it will be dry to the touch. This stuff does dry to the touch. It's not as nasty as Armor All or other type of plastic dressings or rubber dressings that are really slimy, silky. So on a retail level, this is completely appropriate for a lot of people if you want to use it on your rubber seals. It's perfect for vinyl, rubber, and plastic. It's a protectant. It leaves, all of these products will not ruin or degrade the integrity of the rubber seal. They'll still be soft and pliable. They won't be wet to the touch. It just depends on what type of gloss you want. Hyper Dressing is more of a satin finish. The Stoner Trim Shine is more of a satin finish as well. This protectant here by Meguiar's, the Ultimate Protectant, available on a retail level, completely fine for these areas on the rubber seal, will give you a little bit more shine and gloss. It's not going to be tremendous, but the seal will have a little bit more pop to it, and they'll all be dry to the touch. I like these three products, and I use these three products on a regular basis. The Meguiar's Hyper Dressing seems to be the dressing I use about 95% of the time, but sometimes I change it up just because that's what I want to do. I kind of want to keep testing products as I go, and I enjoy using them. That's what I do for a living, so that's what I do. But there's a simple little video. It's not all that simple. It's not discussed a lot. How do we clean these things? An all-purpose cleaner is just fine if you've got a rubber seal that's got some integrity to it. If you're working on an older car, a vintage car, maybe a pH neutral type of cleaner, maybe something a little bit more gentle, maybe isopropyl and distilled water, but really dilute it somewhere around 12 to 1, 13 to 1 in a 32-ounce bottle, so that isopropyl alcohol isn't too powerful on the rubber seal. You just decide what works best for you, and then you can dress those dressings. You can use those 3 dressings that I talked about, and it's really impressive for a customer when they open up the car. Yes, it will be clean, but to give it a little shine and pop on these seals just really stands out. Customers will notice it instantly when they open up the car door. Those are just little tips and tricks that you have to know about auto detailing. They're not really tricks. They're important parts of cleaning and detailing a car. That's detailing to me. You want those areas to stand out. Your customers are going to appreciate it. Just use a dressing that's appropriate, that's not sticky, that can dry to the touch. You don't want anything sticking to it in the future. Thank you so much. I appreciate that subscriber asking me about rubber seals. Crap, I forget about these things. I've been doing it so long, and I thought it was a great question, so I wanted to make a video for him. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Love all of you. Until next time, be safe.